Welcome to another episode of 843 TV. I'm your host, Annalisa Itcore. Today we are at Holy Trinity School in Beaufort, South Carolina, and joining us we have Reverend Chad Lawrence. He's the headmaster here at Holy Trinity. We also have Caroline O'Neill. She's a 10th grader here. And last but certainly not least, we have Brenton Bizard. He is a Board of Trustees member as well as the leader of the prayer ministry here at Holy Trinity. So stick around. We have more 843 TV coming your way where communities come to speak.
843 TV, where Bluffton comes to speak.
Where Spring Island comes to speak.
Where Hilton Head Island comes to speak.
Where Beaufort comes to speak.
TV,
where communities come to speak.
Welcome to another episode of 843 TV. We're here today on the campus of Holy Trinity School in Beaufort, and joining us we have Chad Lawrence. He is the headmaster, and we also have Caroline O'Neill. She is a 10th grader here at the school. Now, Reverend Lawrence, why don't you start by giving us a bit of an idea of the history of Holy Trinity?
Sure. Well, the idea for Holy Trinity was born out of a desire of several in this community who looked out into the educational milieu of the time and saw the need for a classical Christian school here in Beaufort. And what began as just a conversation and an idea really took root and sparked a strong desire and interest within this small group to see whether the Lord might have a school like this in mind for our community. They began to pray. They began to research other classical Christian schools, bring more into the fold. And what was very interesting about that group is that very, very few of them had children or even grandchildren who might be able to attend a school like Holy Trinity. It was more just a desire to offer this to the community at large. Eventually, they formally formed into a private 501c3 entity, looked for a headmaster, and they came knocking to me. I had been in education and was a minister at the Parish Church of St. Helena, and off the journey began. We had a year to find a location and to hire teachers and recruit students and choose a curriculum and go through all that one needs to start a school. And we started our first year right here in this building with preschool through 5th grade. We had about 100 students. And since then, we're now in our 6th year. We've added a grade a year according to our original plan. Now we're up to about 300 students.
Wow.
Preschool through 10th grade. We're on 2 campuses because we've outgrown this campus. And we look to add an 11th grade next year and then a 12th grade the following year. So it's really been a remarkable response of this community to a classical Christian education.
Now, you talked about sort of the nuts and bolts element of starting the school.
Sure.
But I would imagine, being that this is a classical Christian school, as you called it, that prayer must have played a role in it.
Oh,
so how
right.
did prayer play a role in the ground-up building of this school?
Often we would joke to ourselves that you have to be crazy, a little bit of crazy, have a little bit of crazy in you to start a school, and it is such an enormous venture. And we realized from the beginning that this was God's idea, and if it's His idea, you need to seek Him as to His ways to do it and His provision. And I would just say over the past 8-9 years, time and again we've been forced to go to that place of prayer, seeking God for His guidance, for His provision. And I believe that as long as Holy Trinity is in existence and doing what we're supposed to be doing, we will always be in that posture of need before God, necessitating prayer. And that is really the life of a Christian, which is continually seeking and praying to God.
Now, Caroline, I have to say, this is a lesson that you've definitely taken to heart because you've been the author of a blog called A Year of Prayer. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I realized how important the prayer ministry was to Holy Trinity, and this year we really kind of stepped that up with the addition of a prayer request box in the front of the building and a Join the Journey festival. So prayer is just it really contributes to the warmth and like genuine care for every single student in the school. And to know, like as a student, that somebody out there is praying for you, for your success, for your future, is such an important part of the environment here.
It absolutely is, and I can certainly attest to the fact that that will carry through in your life. And I'm actually rather interested, how do you feel the impact of attending a school like this is going to carry into your adulthood?
Well, hopefully I'll be able to do something like this, like sponsor the school or pray for future children here when I'm an adult, and now even, but just kind of the example of prayer and like selfless prayer for others that's being set by the adults helping this school is really an example that I want to follow.
It sounds like it's having a very positive impact on you.
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
wonderful. Now, you talked a little bit about, that prayer element impacting the community, and I know that you called upon the community this past fall to come out and support the school, and you and I actually met for the first time at that event. You were out running your little heart out.
rather red-faced when we spoke.
But you also had an amazing guest at that event. Tell us a little bit about that.
We did. We were blessed to have the Reverend John Choldao from the South Sudan join us. I met John in seminary. He is from the South Sudan, and when Sudan went through the great turmoil that it did several decades ago, John was actually caring for his family cattle when his village was attacked, and he and thousands of others, what are called the Lost Boys of Sudan, were forced to flee for their lives to neighboring countries as refugees. Many of them died over that hundreds of mile journey, but John survived. And when I heard his story in seminary, I was just floored at this man and what he had been through, and his tremendous faith. Since seminary, God has called us both to start schools as Anglican priests, albeit in very different scenarios. I'm here in beautiful Beaufort by the Bay. He's in South Sudan in some very difficult circumstances, but we're both trying to raise leaders for the generation to come in the nations where we are. And we had the opportunity for him to come, and he led the prayer walk component of our Join the Journey fundraiser. Just to think that our students got to walk and pray with a saint of God, a man like John, just brought such warmth to my heart, and what a blessing to have him. And I'll tell you, he was like a celebrity here. Kids, when they saw him, and it wasn't just kids, parents, when they saw him, they just flocked to him like bees on honey, and you saw his patience and his love as he just cared and spoke to every single one in turn. What a blessing to have him. It wasn't easy getting him here. But,
I'm sure. Yeah, I was very honored to meet him. You're right. His presence and he really emanated a real true spirit. It was wonderful.
Absolutely.
Well, we will be back in a few moments with more 843 TV, so stick around. Welcome back to 843 TV. We are going to continue to chat with Reverend Lawrence, who is the headmaster here at Holy Trinity School. But joining us, we also have Brenton Bazard. He is a parent here at Holy Trinity, as well as a member of the Board of Trustees and the leader of the prayer ministry. Tell us a little bit about how the prayer ministry impacts the school here, Brenton.
Well, it impacts it greatly, and as Reverend Lawrence said, it has been an integral part of the formation of the school from the beginning. And what an incredible testimony to our students, to all our stakeholders at the school, of how important prayer is. And really this year, and I need to say a special thanks to our consultant Kent Wallace with the Champion Group, who's really helped us structure this. Miss Barbara Hathaway, who is a leader of our prayer ministry. Mrs. Lori Henson, who is our lower school principal, but is also an integral part of our prayer ministry here as well. But what this man and these women have done is really set ourselves up. We wanted to involve all the stakeholders in Holy Trinity. So that being the parents, the students, the faculty, the administration, the Board of Governors, the Board of Trustees, our donors, whether that's through their time, talent, or treasure gifts to the school. But we really wanted to open up our prayer to all of them, that they're all contributing. And so it has had a major impact. And what we have done is this year, to really kick it off structurally, what we have done is we invited over the summer, we invited people who wanted to give a year to commit to praying daily for Holy Trinity. We've had over 100 people, commit to prayer for Holy Trinity. And we kicked it off the weekend before school started. Reverend Lawrence led an incredible teaching. The Hermesmans, who are faculty members here, led music, and we had an incredible day of prayer where we went through the entire school, in every room, every classroom, prayed for every teacher by name, prayed for every student by name, prayed for our administrators by name, our athletics by name. And it was just a powerful, powerful day that was capped off by an incredible teaching from Reverend Lawrence that really has kicked us off on this journey. And we included in our weekly updates to our parents, because we want them to see what our needs are and what we're praying for the school. And I love how Reverend Lawrence and Mrs. Henson have incorporated into the curriculum of the school with the students. You heard Caroline talk about the prayer box and the impact of knowing that people are praying for you weekly, daily, and the needs of the school. And so I think it teaches many incredible lessons. And so we're very excited about our prayer ministry.
You know, it's interesting. We're sitting here with three people who are very comfortable with the concept of prayer, and it's something that we do institute into our daily lives. However, prayer is for the community, and one of the things that strikes me about Holy Trinity is this is a faith-based tuition school. Mm-hmm. Now, what does that mean? In other words, what do you need to do to become a student here at Holy Trinity?
Well, the faith-based tuition policy really has born out of the idea or the notion that we are all, well, the reality, we are all recipients of God's unmerited grace as human beings. And not only that, but we believe that it's been the role of Christians down through generations to be intricately involved in the formation, the education of children. And that's something that has perhaps been lost in recent years, and we seek to recover that. So the faith-based tuition says that, well, every student who comes here will receive at least a portion of their tuition straight off the top that is covered by fellow Christians or others who support the school. Of course, that we seek God for His provision for that. So no student who comes here is paying the full burden of tuition. No parent is paying the full burden of tuition. And remarkably, that tends to level the playing field amongst our students and forces us to continually rely upon the broader church, Christians, whether they're in Beaufort, wider South Carolina, even beyond, to help support our school. And so historically, about 20% of tuition has been covered through the faith-based tuition policy. In addition to that, we have robust scholarship opportunities. This year alone, I think we will provide about $550,000 to students who otherwise would not be able to come to Holy Trinity. So you look at those numbers, and without prayer, you forget about it. Just forget about it. You know,
Absolutely.
It forces you to that posture of prayer, but it comes from our deep conviction of who we are called to be and the God to whom we are called to testify and bear witness.
And it sounds like it really does allow you to keep your doors open to any child that desires to attend here.
Absolutely. I mean, when you think over 50% of the students would not be able to come here without both the faith-based tuition policy and the scholarship fund. That was our desire from the beginning, and what a blessing to see that come into fruition.
Great. Now we're going to have you stick around, and you stick around, because we're going to talk a little bit more about what it is like to be a student here and a parent here as well. So we'll be back with more 843 TV. Welcome back to 843 TV. We are once again here at Holy Trinity School in Beaufort, South Carolina, and we are joined by the Reverend Lawrence, who is the headmaster here at the school, as well as Brenton Bizard, one of the parents. Now, Brenton, tell us what it's like to be a parent of kids that attend Holy Trinity.
Well, it's a blessing, is what it is. It is a true blessing, and the neat thing about being a parent, when we were fortunate enough to start when the school started, but as my wife Ashley says, it gets better every year, and that is through the blessings of God and the people that He has brought here, that it truly gets better every year, from the faculty to the staff. It's an incredible experience, and it's a family experience. It's a family experience.
Have your kids been involved since the conception of the school 6 years ago?
They have.
Wow. Now, what grades are they in?
They're in the 8th, they're in the 6th, and they're in the 2nd.
Wow. So what is their day like?
Man, their day is full. They are passionately learning and discovering and growing, both educationally and spiritually and personally, but it is jam-packed.
Well, I understand, there's quite a few, I don't know if you'd call them special programs, but between athletics, drama, music, are your children involved in any of those?
They are. And it's neat, I think most of our student body is.
Oh, in some way or another, absolutely.
Yes.
That's cool. Why don't you tell us a bit more about what it is that Holy Trinity has to offer the students?
Sure. Well, I think back to the idea of the Renaissance man and how that well-rounded individual would go through life, and someone who might know music and love plays, but also go out and play athletics and be well-read and just have this desire to love and explore the world and not be, we live in this educational climate of kind of specialization, and you'll have, quote, cutting-edge schools that kind of niche students from 5, 6 years old in some parts of the country and say, you're going to be an engineer or you're going to go into this field. And I think a lot of that's just hogwash. And I think we need to form well-rounded citizens and people. And what's been exciting is to see how, well, Brenton was mentioning the various people that have been brought into this school and their passions. And so we have a drama department, and we have a second grade teacher, Miss Elizabeth Booman, who has written 10 original plays with music that she and her sister Anna, who also teaches here, have written. And we'll have 60 students who audition, and well, we'll have 100 students who will audition, but we'll have 60 students who will put on this original production this spring. Musical, play, just remarkable. Our athletics program, which isn't the end-all and the be-all, but it's an important part of a school, that has grown. We started with cross-country. We had 2 teachers who came in and started a cross-country program from the scratch 4 years ago. Last year and this year, they were state champions in Skiza. Basketball started. We have a soccer program, volleyball. Another component is the various academic competitions that are available to our students, whether it's Quiz Bowl, Math Bowl, literary meet, spelling bee, etc. And all of also there's the music and the art that students are receiving on a regular basis as part of their curriculum. All of this, we hope, is going to form, again, well-rounded Renaissance men and women who are prepared to go out and explore the world that God has given us.
I read a very interesting article recently about how we are raising a me generation. But what I hear at this school, particularly with the incorporation of prayer throughout all these programs, that really isn't the case here. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Well, it's definitely not the case. It's I think the beautiful thing as a parent about this school, and I've said it before, but I think what Chad, and now I don't want to disagree, they are getting an incredibly rigorous education. I mean, the curriculum here is unlike anything that I've seen. It is rigorous, but they are teaching to the kids' heart too. and it's not their talent, because at some point that talent is going to let you down. But they're teaching to the heart, and to see the love that is in this school. And it is special. It is very special. And you see it out in the community, just in little acts of kindness where students are not putting themselves first. I saw a group of students who wanted to sit in this special section of a local restaurant, but they saw another large family come in, and they kind of huddled up and said, let them have that space. Nobody asked them to do that, but that's the love I talk about that Reverend Lawrence and this faculty and staff are instilling daily into these students.
Well, it's interesting in speaking to Caroline, here's a young woman, she's a sophomore. She really comes across like a senior because she's had to be a leader at the school because she is that leading grade. Such composure, but also I think that composure comes from being grounded. It's not, oh, I need to be this way. She just really seems to have found a comfortable place to be.
And what as a parent, what peace that our children can leave here grounded in who they are, and not, I've got to be this to impress somebody. I can be who God called me to be, and that's all I need to be.
That is a great message to end on. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for joining us for 843 TV, where communities